Have you ever ignored your parents because you thought they were becoming old and difficult? Have you ever believed they were a burden instead of a blessing? What if one simple moment could change the way you see your parents forever? Today's story is about a man named Michael and a simple wooden bowl that taught him the greatest lesson of his life. Michael lived in a peaceful town with his wife, their 8-year-old son Noah, and his elderly father. Years ago, after Michael's mother passed away, his father had spent every day working hard to raise him. He worked long hours, skipped meals, wore old clothes, and sacrificed everything so his son could study, grow, and have a better future. Time passed. Michael became successful. He had a beautiful house, a loving family, and a stable job. His father was proud of him. But age had changed the old man. His hands trembled whenever he held a spoon. His eyesight became weak, and he often spilled food while eating. Every meal ended with a few drops of soup on the table or rice falling onto the floor. Michael's wife became increasingly irritated. One evening she sighed, "This happens every single day. The children are watching. We can't keep cleaning up after him forever." Michael didn't reply. Deep inside, he knew his father couldn't help it, but instead of defending him, he remained silent. A few days later, while the family was eating dinner, the old man's hands shook again. His glass slipped from his fingers and shattered on the floor. The room became silent. Michael stood up angrily. "Enough," he said. "The mess ends today." The next morning, he moved a small table into the corner of the dining room. "Father," he said quietly, "from now on, you'll eat here." The old man looked at his son for a moment. He wanted to speak, but no words came out. He simply nodded and slowly walked to the little table. Every evening the family laughed together while eating at the main table, and the old man sat alone in the corner, silently finishing his meal. Sometimes he looked toward his grandson and smiled, pretending everything was fine. A few days later, another accident happened. His hand shook again, and this time he dropped his bowl. It cracked into pieces. Michael became frustrated. The next day he returned from the market carrying a rough wooden bowl. He placed it in front of his father. "Now, if you drop it," he said coldly, "it won't break." The old man quietly accepted the wooden bowl. He didn't complain. He didn't argue. He simply lowered his head and whispered, "Thank you." Days passed. One afternoon, Michael noticed little Noah sitting on the floor with a small knife and a piece of wood. The boy was carefully carving something. Michael smiled. "What are you making, son?" Without looking up, Noah happily answered, "I'm making 2 wooden bowls." Michael laughed. "2 bowls? Why?" The little boy looked at his father with complete innocence. "So when you and Mom become old, I'll let you eat from these." For a moment, the world stopped. Michael felt as if someone had struck his heart. His own son had learned from his actions, not from his words, from his example. That night, Michael couldn't sleep. Every memory returned. He remembered his father carrying him on his shoulders because they couldn't afford a bicycle. He remembered his father working through heavy rain to pay his school fees. He remembered nights when his father pretended he wasn't hungry so Michael could have the last piece of bread. The man he had pushed into the corner was the same man who had spent his entire life putting Michael first. Tears rolled down his face. Early the next morning, before anyone else woke up, Michael picked up the wooden bowl. He walked outside. He looked at it one last time and threw it into the fire. Then he returned inside. His father was already awake, quietly sitting in his chair. Michael knelt beside him. His voice trembled. "Father, I'm sorry. I forgot everything you sacrificed for me. I forgot that one day I will also grow old." The old man's eyes filled with tears. He gently placed his shaking hand on Michael's head and smiled. "My son, I forgave you the moment you walked toward me." That evening, the small table in the corner disappeared forever. The whole family sat together again. They laughed together, they ate together, and when food spilled from the old man's spoon, no one complained. Instead, Noah quietly picked up a napkin and helped his grandfather clean the table. Years later, Noah grew into a kind and compassionate man. Whenever people asked him where he had learned to respect his elders, he smiled and replied, "My grandfather taught me, without ever asking me to listen." Remember this: parents may grow old, but their love never grows old. The way you treat your parents today becomes the lesson your